Hey everybody, my name is Rebecca Johnson and I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I specialize in narcissistic abuse recovery. Lately, I've been doing a few videos specific to narcissistic parents. So those have been educational, informational videos. Today, we're going to talk more about some of the steps that it takes to heal from a narcissistic parent. I'm not going to include all of the steps and all of the necessary parts to healing and recovery. However, this is a really good starting point. It's really important to keep in mind that therapy and healing from any type of narcissistic relationship is necessary. So if you do not have a therapist or someone that can really support you through this journey, I really encourage you to find someone that specializes in narcissistic abuse and trauma. So one of the first steps in order to heal and recover from a narcissistic parent is to acknowledge and to accept your childhood. This is multi-layered for sure. In acknowledging this abuse, it's really important to step out of the denial that may be existing. That can be really complicated, that can be really scary, and sometimes it just feels better to continue pretending that this isn't the case. But for you to further your own healing and get to a healthier place in your own life, you really have to acknowledge that it is what it is, and that's difficult. I think another thing is accepting it for what it is, accepting your parent for who they are. And that's really, really difficult. You did not get the parent that you deserved or that you wanted. So this is a ginormous step in moving forward for you. You have to recognize that their behaviors, their patterns have really hurt you over the span of your life. You have been emotionally neglected, you have been manipulated, you have been gaslit. So really acknowledging those facts and accepting them for what they are is one of the first steps. Secondly, connected to that first step is really understanding how your past has impacted your present. You have endured trauma in your childhood, and those things affect your current life as an adult. It affects your current relationships. So because of your toxic home as a child, you have taken on some behaviors that probably haven't been healthy yourself, that maybe you've developed some unhealthy coping mechanisms. So at this point, it's really important to understand that what that experience has been for you as a child comes into the present with how you show up in the world. So really looking at that and deciding what you can do differently now. You cannot change them, but you do have the power to change yourself and to move into your future with healthier relationships. So the third thing is to learn to establish and maintain boundaries. This can be a really tricky one, right? So you've accepted, you've acknowledged this behavior, you are taking into account how this has impacted your current life, your present. So now it's what boundaries need to be established, what boundaries, what limits need to be there, what perimeters need to be there with your relationship with your parent. Sometimes this is an emotional distance, sometimes this is physical distance, sometimes it's both. I would encourage you to determine what you need and how you can establish those boundaries. We're going to get some guilt from your parent when you begin to really lay those limits down. So don't let that derail you in this process. They're going to try to make you feel guilty for doing this relationship differently. They might really challenge. I said they might, they will challenge. They will try to bulldoze these boundaries that you're trying to establish. So the key is that you hold firm to those and that you maintain those boundaries the best that you can. And as I've said in all of my videos, this is a really good opportunity to bring in that support system of yours to remind you of what you're doing is the best for you. With these boundaries, you are now setting a precedent to how you want to be treated. So it's really drawing that line in the sand of what's okay and what's not okay. The fourth thing I'm going to touch on just briefly is to begin to recognize those difficult emotions. As a child in your home, it's pretty likely that your feelings, your emotions were invalidated, that anytime you were upset, sad, angry, you were forced to kind of push those things away and to shut it down. Your parent did not want to deal with that. So now is the time to really validate your own feelings, to process all of that with someone. The key here is to also begin to really label and identify what those feelings and what those emotions are, and also learn how to communicate them the best that you can. The fifth thing is to nurture your own self-esteem, your self-worth, nurture your own self-love. Within this step, it's really important to take an inventory of those beliefs, those messages that you've received from your parent. Maybe it's, I'm not good enough, or I can never succeed, or I can't do anything right. Just examples of maybe what this has been like for you. So really taking inventory of those beliefs that you've taken on about yourselves and really doing the work to correct those beliefs, right? Because those things are not true. You are enough. You can succeed. You can do things right. So really reversing those things and beginning to believe the truth about yourself is definitely going to help you nurture your own self-esteem and self-worth. I think it's really important to ask yourself as well, what are those things that can help build my own self-worth? Maybe these are some new hobbies. Maybe this is really tapping into some resources as far as books or educating yourself even further. Maybe this is journaling. You just writing, kind of going through and determining for yourself what is best for you right now. What do you need? Any kind of self-care is going to be helpful with this, and it goes beyond kind of the surface self-care that we participate in sometimes, but really those things that really bring joy to your life. Maybe, again, those are new hobbies, a new routine. It's definitely giving yourself some compassion. What you've endured is a lot, and it's been very painful and very traumatic. So really extending compassion to yourself in this whole process. So the last thing I'm going to talk about today is building healthy relationships. Narcissistic parent did not model healthy relationships for you. They tried to control you. You experienced rage often, manipulation, name calling, blame shifting, right? So this is what's been modeled for you. And obviously this is very toxic. This is not what you want in your present or going into your future. Things like respect, care, consideration, thoughtfulness, reciprocity, individuality. These are things that are part of healthy relationships. So I encourage you to ask yourself, what does this look like for you? What does healthy relationships look like for you? Maybe that's even looking at your past and kind of flipping that upside down and really determining what is the opposite of what you've experienced and how could that be a part of your present. As I mentioned at the top of this video, this does not include all of the components to healing and recovery. So here again, I'm just doing the plug for you to reach out to your own counselor and to really equip yourself to do this well. Thank you so much for watching today. And again, I encourage you to leave some comments. Let me know what you think. See you next time.